Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down the big stories. And today, we are diving headfirst into the absolute chaos brewing in the UAP volleyball playoffs. Seriously, you can just throw out everything you thought you knew, because this year, the entire script has been flipped upside down.
And trust me, that is not an exaggeration. We are on the verge of one of the wildest season finishes I think we've seen in a long, long time. It all comes down to these last couple of games. The pressure is on, the scenarios are insane, and for a few teams, it's officially win or go home.
So how in the world did we get here? Well, it all started with this one little number: 14 wins and 0 losses. That's the record of the DLSU University Lady Spikers. They had a perfect, undefeated season that just steamrolled the entire league, and that single act of dominance is the reason the whole playoff picture has been thrown into complete and utter chaos.
See, by going undefeated, DLSU didn't just clinch the top spot, they earned an automatic ticket straight to the championship round. Now this is super rare, and it triggers an even rarer format, the stepladder. You can just think of it as a brutal survival of the fittest tournament. There are no second chances, no safety nets. You lose one game and that's it, you're out. It is the most unforgiving path to a title you can possibly imagine.
Okay, so with LaSalle sitting comfortably at the top, just waiting for a challenger, who's actually left fighting for their tournament lives in this crazy new landscape? All right, let's take a look. While DLSU's relaxing, you've got 4 other teams locked in this desperate battle for the 3 remaining spots in the stepladder gauntlet. Now, 2 of them have already clinched a spot, but where they finish is still a huge deal. And then you've got 2 historic rivals fighting tooth and nail for that very last ticket to the dance. Okay, let's break this table down, because this is where it gets juicy. You see NU and Adamson? They're in, but where they land in that stepladder could be the difference between a tough road and an almost impossible one. But look at the bottom. That's the real story. UST, they control their own fate. But breathing right down their necks is their arch rival, FU, who needs a win and a little bit of help. I'm telling you, the history between those 2 schools adds a whole other layer of drama.
And believe it or not, this entire tangled web of possibilities, it all hinges on the outcome of a single match: University of Santo Tomas versus National University. That one game right there is the fork in the road. And depending on who wins, we're headed for 2 drastically, and I mean drastically, different futures.
And this lays it out perfectly. A UST win? It throws the standings into absolute chaos. We're talking a 3-way tie for second place. But a UST loss? Well, that opens the door for a classic winner-take-all showdown for the very last spot. Let's dig into what each of these paths actually looks like.
Okay, first up, let's explore the most chaotic timeline possible. This is what happens if the UST Golden Tigresses somehow manage to pull off a victory against a really, really tough NU team.
So, if UST wins, boom, we get this messy 3-way logjam for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th seeds. The final order would probably come down to some complicated point system. You know, everyone's going to have their calculators out. But the most immediate, most devastating consequence for their rivals, FEU, it's instant heartbreak. Their own game suddenly doesn't matter. Their season is over, just like that.
But what if that doesn't happen? Let's look at Path 2. If UST loses to NU, it sets up a completely different scenario. And this is where things get really personal and the stakes become crystal clear.
Right, so if NU wins, they lock up that super valuable number 2 seed and get to put their feet up for a bit. But the real story is what happens below them. If FEU also wins their game, they create a tie with UST for that last spot. And this triggers what is basically a dream scenario for fans: a 1-game do-or-die playoff between 2 of the league's biggest rivals just for the right to even get into the stepladder. Talk about drama. So let's say a team makes it in. It doesn't matter if it's through the chaos or a do-or-die game. What's next? Well, now they have to climb the stepladder. And let me tell you, it is a brutal, exhausting climb.
The absolute best way to think about the stepladder is like a game of King of the Hill. You've got DLSU, the champion, sitting at the very top of the hill. And everyone else has to fight their way up, one rung at a time, knocking off the team above them just to survive and take another step.
So here's exactly how that gauntlet works, step by step. First, the number 4 seed plays the number 3 seed. Win or go home. The winner of that game moves on to face the number 2 seed. Win or go home again. The winner of that game is the only one left standing, and they're the one who finally earns the right to challenge a well-rested DLCU in the finals. That's 2 must-win, high-pressure games just to get a shot at the title.
And that right there is the crucial point, the massive, massive advantage DLSU has. While all these other teams are battling through these grueling, heart-pounding single elimination games, the Lady Spikers are resting, scouting, and preparing. The team that finally emerges from that stepladder, sure, they'll be battle-tested, but you better believe they're also going to be exhausted.
So there you have it. One team is waiting patiently for a challenger. The rest, they face a brutal path of knockout games where a single mistake can end their entire season. Are we going to see chaos reign with a wild three-way tie? Or are we going to get that classic rivalry showdown for the final spot? It all gets decided this week. The only question left is, who is going to survive?